Okay, here we go. G'day everyone, it's Wesley here from Business Blessings, and I'm joined by Jackie Roux today. G'day, Jackie, how are you?
Hey, I'm good in yourself, Wes.
Doing great. So, Jackie, the reason why I got you on, apart from you being the founder of Empower Opportunity and the Dream Launcher Academy, but
Yeah.
you're also one of the administrators of our Women Providing Hope group, which
Yes.
is about 1,700 women in it now, which is just incredible.
Yeah, it's a great group.
So this Saturday, I've asked you to host her talk, which is about straight talk about marriage, sex, and intimacy.
Yeah.
So this is something that perhaps is a very uncomfortable topic for
yes. I'll say it is. It's something we never talk about, right? It's especially not in, I guess, Christian circles, but just generally, it's something that never really comes up, and it is a bit awkward. And also, I think the other thing, you don't have other people's perspective. So what I love about what Sheila Ray Gregor has done, and I'll just show you the book. You can see I've been reading. Got a bit excited because there's a lot.
I love all those things there. So that means there's obviously a lot in the book that you can take away and say, I need to remember this.
Very, very meaty. And but what I loved about it was, she surveyed 20,000 women around the world, and this is the result of that survey. So this is stuff on the ground. This is grassroots stuff. And all of those women's perspectives were put into this book. And it's just brought incredible insight and clarity for me. I still haven't finished the book. I've got about another 80 pages to go. But honestly, there have been so many takeaways. And I think it's something that it's super practical, very practical, Wes. So, yeah, I'm hoping people are going to come along on Saturday, because her talk, I think, is going to be amazing. Yeah.
Jackie, you and I are talking before, and I know this because I've had a lot of pushback from my own daughters and from my nieces and even my wife. What the heck, Wes, are you doing in hosting this webinar?
Yes.
So Jackie, you've had some pushback as well as you've been talking to people.
Yeah, I think when you try and have the conversation with someone, it's almost as if you're assuming they've got issues in their marriage. And so I just think it's a conversation we really need to have. And what I love about Sheila, she's very professional. She doesn't make it icky and awkward and uncomfortable, because I think that's the other thing. If it's something you're not used to talking about and you don't have that framework, it's something that it just doesn't kind of flow naturally. So I just think there's a lot of benefit to be had, just because, as I say, of all the perspectives. And it takes away that awkwardness, that awkward conversation. And actually, it's all about relationship. Yes, we're talking about sex, but at the end of the day, it's about having, how can I say, it's satisfaction in every area of your relationship, body, mind, and spirit, which then culminates in, having a really wonderful sex relationship. So, sorry, my husband's just emptying the bin. Can you hear that? Honestly, but I think when you start to sort of unwrap it a little bit more with people, and they realize that it is so much more, and where they will benefit from it, or they might know somebody who might benefit from it. Every one of us, we have relationships, right? And it's navigating the complexity of relationship, and that's what comes out in the book. And that's why I loved it so much. Well, I'm still reading it. But super, super practical, as I said. So many insights. But I think what I loved about it too is when you get the opportunity to talk or find out from 20,000 women, what's actually going on in their world, because it's something you never talk about. It's a little bit taboo. Yeah, so I think that's why we need it.
It's a lot taboo. Yes. So, Jackie, one of the reasons why I felt that God was saying that we needed to host this was because she's really debunking a lot of the teaching that is actually being out in the Christian church today. Now, but the way that Sheila has handled that has been incredibly well. So do you want to talk about some of that?
Yes, because I think we've inherited a lot of myths and maybe a lot of lies, because perhaps it's come from a very narrow perspective. And, I think there's a lot of well-meaning people out there who've really tried to help us navigate this whole area. But I feel like it's been a little bit skewed and a little bit lopsided. And we've had how can I say, not the full information. We've only had half a picture. And it's often from the male perspective. And because I think, you know, women, we are so complex. Like, I don't want it to sound like a negative thing, but it's just the way I know for myself. I'm very, very deep, and I'm, you know, the way that I think is very complex. And I need to know that I'm love, body, mind, and spirit, right? So it's, for me, it's the whole enchilada. Like, I need to, you know, be able to relate to, you know, my husband in that way. And yeah, it's funny how you've got all these different levers in your brain. And what I love about this book, like I'll speak about some of the chapters. So at the end of every chapter, so she goes through some of the lies and some of the myths in every single chapter. And then right at the end, she's got some practical steps of what to do. I suppose you can really see some of that, but it's a bit tricky. But anyway, yeah, sorry, it's not really coming up on the video. But basically at the end, she'll then have a whole section on rescuing and reframing. So, you know, if perhaps we've been given, like, where are our sources that we've got all this information from? You know, can you imagine all the things that are not quite kind of, how can I say, I want to use the word justice. It's like that are fair for all, right? If we've been given wrong perspectives, we have misunderstandings about men, and perhaps men have different thoughts about women and our needs and so on. But what I love about that, she makes us all equal. It's not about men, it's not about women. It's really about getting the truth and reframing the truth in a very healthy way. And she calls it rescuing and reframing. So it's literally rewiring those thoughts, taking those lies and actually making them healthy for both the husband and the wife, and those relationships. So it's very empowering. It's really empowering. So I think, you know, maybe the book, the topic, the great sex rescue, I think where people have got a little bit miffed when I've approached them, it's as if I'm saying, well, you've got issues in your sex life, right? And you need to come to this event. But it's so much deeper than that. And this whole reframing and rescuing, I even feel for myself, I have such a different perspective on it. And I put in my Facebook post yesterday, you know, what do 20,000 women have to say about sex? Well, I think that says it all, right? We're getting such an amazing insight into women's experience, but also helping bring them into a fullness, that abundance, if you like, that God intended for us all, for male and female. So I just think, yeah, she might have rattled a few cages, ruffled a few feathers, but I think she's doing it because she wants everybody to be empowered, male and female. And along the way, she's obviously having to, you know, cause a little bit of a controversy. And she could be polarizing people, but her heart is not to do the polarization, but to bring freedom.
And I think that's great, because a lot of people seem to got caught up over the word rescue.
Yes.
Like, and there's this thing, but really what she's rescuing is the teaching that is out there, and she's rescuing it really back to the way God intended it to be.
Yes.
Which is what there. And I don't know whether it's just an Aussie thing that we've reacted to the word rescue, because it seems to have gone down very well in the US rather than here in Australia.
Actually, that's actually, sorry to speak up. Yeah, I think that's actually a really good point. You know, the Australian mindset is probably very different, the way we see things. So yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah. So
Jackie, who do you think should attend this webinar?
I actually think men and women.
Yeah.
And whether people are married or not, whether they're thinking about marriage, I think what it does is it gives you such a healthy perspective on relationship and really optimizing your relationship. So I guess that means everyone, whether the people have been married for a short period of time, whether they're engaged, whether they're not even there yet, you know, thinking about teenage girls, how good would it be to equip them with this resource now? Because if they don't talk about it in their marriage, can you imagine they could have 30 years of going, well, is this all there is, right? So that also means that people that have been married a very long time would also benefit. But it was interesting on that interview that was on the radio, on Vision Radio a few weeks ago, you know, with the author, with Sheila and Vision Radio, the host there. I think we were talking about more men actually phoned in than women. I think there was one woman who rang in and all the rest were men. So if it is about men and women and our relationships, then I think it should be open to all. And we shouldn't get hung up on the title and go, it's a bit like if you were going to learn about finance. Would you go, oh, well, if you invited me to a finance thing, are you saying that I've got issues with my finance? Do you know what I mean? Like, you can always degrees of learning to be better in your financial skills. It's the same with the marriage. And it's one of the most important relationships of our lives. Why would we not invest an hour of our life or get the book as well to actually make it better, to go to a new level, right? It's all a matter of degrees. The same if you were going to a financial workshop, you would go to get, you know, learn new skills, learn, you know, more information and get a better perspective on things. So, and learn from somebody who's kind of, you know, gone down, as I say, 20,000 interviews or surveys. That is phenomenal. And in fact, she does use a lot of that information and those stories in here to really help with practical guidelines. So I think it's a really powerful event, and I think people should, you know, really try and come, because they will benefit, their relationships will benefit as well. And it's not just your partner, it's think about male-female dynamics, right? And how we think about things. It's a lot to do with mindset and perspective. Yeah, so I think let's dismantle some of those wrong thinkings. Yeah, and really empower all of our relationships.
And it's setting stuff right. And you just look at what's happening in our parliament, in our different workplaces, in marriages, what's happening with teenagers in schools, you know, all the stuff that's going on. And like, the thing that's really bothered me as I've been reading it is how much the teaching that has been out there in the Christian sphere, because she really unpacks all the Christian books and the teaching. And then she says, this is from the survey of the women. This is the impact that it's had and what it is. It's my phone going crazy. So that's the thing. So it's really about rescuing mindsets and putting things right.
Very good. That was a very good point you made there. It's very, very topical right now here in Australia. So definitely very worthwhile. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jackie. We've gone on a bit longer than what I thought we would.
It's a very juicy topic, so yeah.
Yeah. And I think what I wanted to interview for is to get the heart of what we're trying to achieve with this. Obviously, it's coming from our Women Providing Hope group, but also my Business Blessings connections, and just like, and actually it's like I know that successful marriages lead to successful businesses. That if the marriage is right in the business, it will just the global impact. But it's the same across the board. Successful marriages lead to strong community as well. Yes. And unless we actually start to tackle these types of topics, and I think, as I put on a post the other day, we can protest all we like about changing laws and regulations, but we actually need to get Christian marriages right. Yes. And we've got to create troughs where people can come and look at that and say, this is an example of what we're after, rather than putting fences up all the time. Well, Jackie, I'm looking forward to you hosting something in Sydney on Saturday.
I'm excited. It's going to be really awesome. We're going to have Q&A as well. So if people have any Q&As, like, write it in the post below, and we'll make sure we include your questions, because we really want to help people get those answers that they want. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much, Jackie.
You're welcome. Thanks, Dress.